BCG Matrix. BCG stands for Boston Consulting Group. This is also known as Boston Matrix, Boston Box, Boston Grid, Product Portfolio Matrix, and it could have been easily named as D Henderson Matrix. That's because the man that came up with this matrix is Bruce D. Henderson. Mr. Henderson is the founder of Boston Consulting Group. BCG started its journey in 1963. There are conflicting ideas as to when the BCG matrix was created. Most sources say that it was the 1970s, with an S in the end. Some have even gone as far as to say that it was exactly 1970 because of some citations that can be found on that year. But according to BCG.com, the year was 1968. Anyway, Bruce Henderson was the president and the CEO of BCG until 1980. Then he retired from that position, but he was still the chairman till 1985. After that, he was out of BCG. Alright, now let's move on with what the BCG matrix is, what it does, why you should learn it, what can you do with knowing about it, and how can you use it properly and what not. But before I continue, a small intro. This is the small intro. Me talking about having an intro is a small intro. So, by using the BCG matrix, you can differentiate the product line or the business lines that you are offering to the customers. If you have, let's say, 10 different product offerings for the customers, you can categorize them into 4 different categories. The categories are stars, cash cows, dogs, and question marks. I have not put them into any sort of categories yet. Soon. What you do with this matrix is you first figure out where do your product fall under, meaning your product lines or business lines, or to be a little fancy, your strategic business unit is going to fall under one of these 4 categories. Well, then what? What do you do after knowing that they fall under this or that category? Then you can decide as to what you are going to do with that product accordingly. All of the decisions you are going to need to take according to the information you get from BCG Matrix are going to be corporate level decisions. What are corporate level decisions? Well, I have a full series of strategic management where I discuss in separate videos how many levels of strategies a company can have, what are corporate level strategies, what are business level strategies, and what are functional level strategies. Now, if you have seen that series, you will know what a corporate level strategy is. You can watch that video if you want to find that out in details. But to summarize them for this video, I can say that the corporate level strategies are the strategies that the top level managers need to take to decide where the overall company is going to be heading. The business level will make sure how to do that by implementing their own separate strategies. They usually make sure that the business line or the product line follows the direction decided by the corporate level managers. And the functional level strategies are about going through with what the corporate and business level managers have envisioned for the products. Functional levels are actually the lower levels of the company that will decide on the activities of the people working there. The example for functional level departments are marketing, finance, HR, IT, etc. So, if you are a smartphone company and your corporate level thinks that their smartphones have growth potential in the market and they want to capture more market share, that is what the corporate level is going to decide. The business level managers are going to decide that they are going to provide a superior functionality to the users of their smartphones. And as a result, more users are going to be attracted to the brand. And after that, the functional level managers are going to decide exactly how to provide that superior functionality. They might decide to buy some expensive materials that are going to be vital in providing that, and not many other companies are using that. The business level could have easily decided that they are going to go for the low cost strategy. Then the functional level would have to go for the cheaper materials to make their phone. With the combination of these three levels, the entire company is going to decide on what strategy they are going to follow. Now, the main point after talking about all of that is that the BCG matrix is going to provide you with information that you can use to make corporate level strategies, the top one. Now, the matrix. There are two factors that are going to be used to decide where the business unit is going to fall for you. They are how competitive your product is in the overall market and how big the market is or how big it can get. So, the factors are relative market share and the growth rate of the market. The relative market share is not actually the market share of your brand. It is the comparison between you and your biggest competitor. You find that out by dividing the market share of your biggest competitor from your market share. So, if you have 10% share of the market and your competitor has 50% share of the market, then your relative market share will be 0.2. Another case can be that you have 10% market share and your biggest competitor also has 10% market share. Then the relative market share will be 1. Let's move on to market growth rate. You figure out the growth rate of the market by finding out the total sales of the entire market. It is easy to find actually. And the growth rate is calculated by this simple formula. You subtract the old market size from the new market size. Then you divide that with the old market size. After that, multiply the result with 100 and you would get the percentage of the market growth rate. There are examples online where they would provide a specific number. They would say that the market growth rate has to be more than 10% to be high, or more than 5, or even more than 20%. But the reality is, it depends on market by market, product by product. Although Mr. Henderson said that it was to be 10%. And similarly, there are people saying that the relative market share has to be more than 1 to be high. You know what I'm going to say? It depends. I think in every single marketing related video I have said it depends at least once. That depends on the need to say it depends. Now usually in X and Y axis, if you go from low to high like this, the matrix would look something like this. But the person that came up with the matrix designed it a little bit different. It looks a little bit like this. There is a reason behind that, and you would find out pretty soon. If one specific product has high growth rate but low market share, that will be a question mark. The question mark has the potential to become a star in the future, but if not properly managed, it can also become a dog. If you have both high growth rate and high market share, you will have a star on your hand. They are the best and the most exciting ones to manage. After that, if you have high market share but low growth rate, you are going to have a cash cow. They are also really great, but not as exciting as managing your stars, because there are not that much growth opportunities. Now, if both the market share and the growth rate are low, you will have a dog with you. A fun fact, almost everywhere you will see this category referred to as dogs. But they were also called pets. Now, you know that you have different categories of products on your hand. What can you do with this information? You need to decide what to do with it accordingly. For example, when you have a question mark on your hands, it means that your market share is low, but the growth rate is high. What you need to do here is to figure out how to increase this market share. If you do that well, you can turn the question mark into a star. But, as I have already said, question marks can also become dogs as well. Question marks need investment. They are not generating as much money as they need investment into. That money will come from your cash cows. Now I think you might understand why this matrix is also called product portfolio matrix. You are maximizing your gains by using your portfolio. Your product portfolio, that is. After that, if you have a star, it means that you are on top of the world. What you need to do is to figure out how to stay there. The best case scenario is that they will become cash cow after staying as a star for a long time. And for cash cows, you have to keep milking them dry, just as the name suggests. They are going to cover for most of the expenses of your entire organization. Keep doing what you have been doing until the industry is in decline. And if you have a dog in your hand, well, you need to either divest or liquidate. There can be various reasons why a product line can fall into this category. Probably a new product line has failed. Or maybe a cash cow for a long time has turned into a dog because the market is currently in decline. Remember the word decline. Let's talk a little bit about the best case scenario. This is the scenario every company should try to follow. The best case scenario. Whenever you are introducing a new product line in the market, it is going to be a question mark. We don't know how well it will behave. The market share is obviously low, but the potential for growth is high. If you play your cards right, you are going to have a star in your hand. Then the star will sustain its place for a long time and eventually turn into a cash cow. This is the best case scenario. The cash cow will keep generating a massive amount of money for your business. And with that cash you have from your cash cow, you can have money to launch and invest in another product that will in turn become a question mark, and the cycle will keep on continuing. This is the desired positive cycle that every business should aim for. With the best case scenario behind us, we also need to find out what the worst case scenario can be. We have to be aware of it so that we can avoid it. Well, you introduce a question mark into the market. It fails to become a star and turns into a dog. Then you invest money from your cash cow to turn the dog into a question mark again. But that will fail. Now you don't have the extra money from your cash cow. The cash cow also becomes a dog in a while. Now you are almost going bankrupt. You are trying to get more money from the star you have to invest in a question mark you currently have. But that might also fail. And the sun blows up and destroys all of humanity, and we are not going to be able to travel outside our solar system. No one will know or remember that a species named humans existed at all. That would be the worst case scenario. Well, even worse than that can be the entire universe imploding on itself. Let's move on from that. Now, there are some assumptions behind the BCG matrix if we are to follow the rules strictly. The first assumption is that higher market shares will always give out higher cash flows. The problem with this assumption is it will not be the case all of the time. Another assumption is that cash, cold hard cash, is always needed to maintain the growth of a business unit. That is true to some degree, but not all the time. And it also assumes that growth is limited, meaning no product markets are going to keep on growing forever. Of course, nothing is infinite, but it can grow for a long time, so long that it might feel like it is forever. Alright, example time. Wait, there is an E behind that. I got a little too excited with the font. There you have it. The first example I am going to provide is going to be about Electronic Arts. EA in short. Don't play video games, or don't know that much about the sales of them, or are not interested? That's fine. Move on to the next example. Now, their cash cow, without a doubt, is the FIFA series. They have been making them every year and people also buy them every year. That is a huge amount of money and they will keep on making them as long as they can. For their star, I would say Apex Legends. It's not cash cow, it has a huge competition in the market. If you don't know, the competitions are Fortnite and PUBG. But it is still successful. It is still doing good in the market. That's why I would say it is the star of the company. For question mark, I would say it's Jedi Fallen Order. Hear me out for a second. I am saying Jedi Fallen Order would be their question mark because it was very well received by almost everybody. But the problem is, it is not a franchise. Not yet. If they are smart, which is, of course they are smart, they will make it a franchise. And for dog, I don't know. This used to be my favorite, but Need for Speed franchise. I don't know what happened there. Is Need for Speed dog? Do you disagree? You can comment below. Now, for my next set of examples, I will show you some apples. Apple. Well, the cash cows are MacBooks and iTunes. You might be a little surprised by iTunes, but it generates a huge amount of money for the company, and the company does not need to invest that much money into it. The star is undoubtedly iPhone. Some of you might think that iPhones can be cash cows, but the market growth rate is still pretty high and the competition is still pretty fierce. The picture is of a first generation iPhone. The question mark would be Apple TV and the Apple streaming service. There is potential for growth, but it remains to be seen. The dog? Easy. iPods. Used to be huge, not anymore. What's that? You need more examples? Okay, Samsung. Their cash cow is their refrigerators and their washing machines. The star would be their smartphones. For the same reason, iPhone is the star of Apple. The dog, in case of Samsung, I would say would be their smartwatches. And the question mark will be the printer and scanners. What do you think? One more set of examples would be better? Okay. Alright. Procter & Gamble, also known as P&G. But first, you need to know about the problems with putting the brands of a company like Procter & Gamble into 4 different categories. That is, they have a lot of products. A lot. Their products range from baby care, fabric care, skin care, feminine care, grooming, that's a big one, hair care, home care, oral care, health care, and all that. And the thing is, BCG Matrix is absolutely necessary for a company like P&G to make strategic decisions on their corporate level. Another thing I need to say is that I simply cannot put all of these brands into 4 categories we have talked about so far. Why, you might ask? That would be my lack of knowledge. I don't know about all of the products P&G is currently selling on the market. Alright? I think that makes it clear. I will only talk about the brands that I am sure about. Okay, that was a lot. If you were wondering, there are actually 60 brands over here. I am 99.99%, no, scratch that, 100% sure that the people working at Procter & Gamble, the top level managers, have put all 60 of these brands in one of the 4 categories of the BCG Matrix. They know that. But I don't know that. That's why I'll be talking about the ones I do know. Now let's move on with the BCG Matrix. Their cash cow would be Gillette, Old Spice, and Pepto-Bismol. You see, they have a wide range of products available. For stars, they have Tide, Pampers, and Head and Shoulder. For question marks, I actually wanted to say Olay. I am pretty sure, but not 100%. So I would only say Crest toothpaste. For dog, if you want my honest opinion, I'm not sure. Maybe Ambipure. Not 100% sure here. That's why I was reluctant on talking about P&G. But it is still a good BCG matrix in my opinion. Now I'm going to draw parallels between the BCG matrix and the product life cycle. Alright, now I'd like to draw the comparison between BCG matrix and product lifecycle. I have already used the terms normally used in product lifecycle in this video. So, I think you already have some sort of ideas about the similarities. Still, a question mark is usually in the introductory stage of the product lifecycle. In the growth stage, you get the stars. The cash cows usually come in the maturity stage. And in the declining stage, you get the dogs. You need to understand this is not always the case, but usually it is how it goes. Now let's talk a little bit, just a little bit, about money. According to this matrix, you can put your products in different categories based on the relative market share and the market growth rate. For question marks, you need to invest more than the money that is being generated from the products. For stars, the money being invested is pretty much the same as the money being generated. For cash cows, cash generation is much higher than cash needed to invest in the products. Now, for dogs, it's a little bit tricky. Well, they don't generate that much cash for the business at all. But the thing is, any company with a smart manager is not likely to invest that much money into the dogs anyway. So, the cash consumption and cash generation in this case also is pretty much same. That is for the dogs. This is where I am ending the discussion about BCG Matrix. I hope it was enough for you to understand. If you have any questions, you can comment below. If you liked the video and want to support my efforts over here, you can like the video, comment, share and subscribe. Or even watching another video will be helping me a lot. But if you want to go one step further, you can directly support me on Patreon by donating a small amount of money to me over there monthly. Alright, now it is bonus time. Some animal names in Spanish. Zebra is zebra. Jirafa is giraffe. Elefante is elephant. Gorilla is gorilla. Tigre is tiger. This is the end. You don't need to watch the next part. The next part is just me babbling. So you can click off the video. Alright, this is the official end of this video. If you are still watching the video, you have my sincerest thanks. Another thing, I just recently hit 1600 subscribers. That's a great milestone to reach. Thank you everyone for subscribing to the channel. The people that are subscribed to the channel, I thank you. With everything going on, I at least have one good news here. That is, my channel got accepted by YouTube for monetization and I will be making some small amounts of money from the ads you will be watching on the channel. I know ads can be a little irritating from time to time, but that's what dictates how much money I make here. Most of you probably don't even care about any of this stuff and I'm probably speaking into the void. But I am thankful. I really am. I will keep working hard on this channel to give everybody the best I can. I created this channel on 2017 while I was a student. I was making my video at that time for my own studying purposes. Making those videos made me study harder. Then for the last few semesters I had to stop. After that, in September 2019, I started again. At that time I probably had 300 subscribers, 300 or 400, I don't remember. I kept up with the uploads. Hopefully my videos are much better than before. I am still trying my best to improve, and I will keep on trying to improve. Another thing I have to say is that I have a steady plan for the entirety of 2020. The growth of this channel and my own income will be the deciding factor on how active I will be on uploading these videos on YouTube. I am going to keep my pace for 6 more months. Don't get me wrong, I am not going to stop making these videos. The frequency of the uploads will depend on the revenue I generate. What a sellout, right? I have put a substantial amount of time behind making these videos. But I have to look for other sources of income if I cannot keep myself afloat with the revenue generated from YouTube. I hope you understand. And lastly, I hope you learned something new today. This was a long one. I really hope you learned something new today. Goodbye for now.